I'd just like to ask you a few more questions about your son and the experience that he had. In the beginning of this interview, I spoke about the fact that social workers do not have to abide by the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. With your relationship with your son, did social workers, did they in any way disclose information that affected your relationship with him?
Yes, they continually told him that he belonged to the province now, and that because the social worker told him your mother doesn't want you anymore, he would go to school and he'd be so upset he'd be crying. He had a full-time TA who was very supportive, and he would cry to him and say, they said that my mom doesn't want me, and this was relayed to me, and I made sure that it got back to him that that was not the case. But he was scared, and he still tells me today, are you sure you didn't say that you didn't want me? I said, no, I said that I wasn't going to put up with that behavior anymore.
When in those first few days that he was in the sort of juvenile home, when he asked to call you, he was told he wasn't allowed.
Well, he said, your mother doesn't want you anyway.
So but how do you think that made him, the one thing I guess I'm wondering is, because you are a police officer, do you think it was any different for him than it would have been for another child, thinking that this situation is so grave that even my mom, who's a police officer, can't do anything about it? Do you think it was worse for him in any way, or affected him at all?
Yes, I think it affected him terribly. I think he was scared to death that these people were never going to let him come home. Because when he tried to run home, they came and got him. When he was cutting himself, nobody did anything. So he felt hopeless.
And was he cutting himself as a result of how he was being treated in that home? And
the way he felt and the way he was being treated, he wasn't used to that. He doesn't come from a tough home. And there were some kids in there that were a lot tougher than him, had tougher times than him. And he found it very difficult and started cutting himself and running away.
Do you have any examples that he has shared with you about how anything that happened in that home? Was there any were there any workers that supervised? How many boys were in there?
I can't remember exactly how many boys he said were in there. There were quite a few. And there was a girls' wing as well. I went there to visit him. It was all supervised. I couldn't speak to him alone. But he did say that the night that he was taken by the police, that at the Crisis Mobile Center, a man had walked into the room and had basically said to him, oh, you think you're such a badass? Well, something to the effect, you've never seen it like you're going to get it, or something like that. And he thought, oh no, here we go, I'm really going to have to fight to keep it together here. And so it scared him going in, but he was under the impression that I had just gotten rid of him, where really I wanted him to spend a night in cells, go to court the next day and see that you are accountable for your actions when you do things like that. But it completely backfired.
Wow. And was there any violence between the boys in that facility?
I don't recall him telling me offhand any violence. He did tell me one night that he got up, and being an only child in our home, there's nobody ever in the bathroom. We have 3 of them. So he got up in the middle of the night to go to the washroom, and there's no locks on the door or anything, and he went right into the bathroom, and I guess there was another boy there and kind of went, hey man, what are you doing? And my son said, oh, sorry dude, sorry. And the worker came up and said to him, you're a sexual deviant. You need to be locked down for 24 hours. And it was funny because he didn't even know what that word meant.
So what did lockdown mean for him?
Being locked in his room and not allowed to go to school, not allowed to go out anywhere. Really, really close supervision, I gathered from that.
So locked in his room for 24 hours for opening the door in the middle of the night to the bathroom?
Yes, and yes, that's what he had told me.
Okay. Any other thoughts that you'd like to add about what your son has gone through because of this?
That I gathered from a lot of my dealings with the social worker that there had been issues about the school I'd chosen for my son to go to. I'd researched this school since he was in grade 3, knowing that he was not succeeding in the public school system and wasn't getting an education, that I had planned saving very diligently to get him into this very expensive school that would educate him with his high needs, ADHD, oppositional defiance, the works. They had accepted him, and the social worker didn't think so much of that school. And when I said I had a special place for him to go, she said to me, yeah, what is this place? And I told her it had been around for 30 years and was very successful with boys that were failing in the public school system and in society in general that needed to get back on track. And I said, he's scheduled to go in September, and she said to me, maybe. And I said, no, he's going. She said, we'll see. And I said, no, I'm his mother, he's going. And she said, not if we have custody, and shoved a paper in front of me and said, we're seeking a 3-month apprehension. I later found out that the teachers had concerns about him going to this school, and I had told them that essentially it was my right to choose where my child went to school and where he would succeed. And I believe that there was some interference that way as well.
Wow. So that's quite an experience, Sheila, and I just want to thank you for sharing. Parents and children all over Canada are being affected by our child protection system. We do need child protection in Canada, but we need child protection that's going to work. People need a place to go where they can ask for help. Children need a place to go where they can ask for help. Children need to be able to trust that source, and so do parents.